In the spirit of Thanksgiving, what are you most thankful for with this Rockets team?
Oh, the energy, my teammates. They're just great people. Love them.
Thanks, Jay.
So that's the always colorful Jalen Green there after the Rockets took down the Philadelphia 76ers last week. You know, coming up on today's NBA Rundown, I've got my big NBA mountain. Who will be atop of the mountain this week? That is the big question. It is our power rankings where I give you the top 10 teams in the association. And I have to say, I am super excited. We've got Rockets rising. We've got the Intuit Dome finding its way into the top 10 for the first time. I've got a prediction on who's actually going to win the NBA Sixth Man of the Year award. And let's just say he plays in Boston. And then we have dangerous Grizzlies on the roam. And in addition to all of that, can you believe how well this Cleveland Cavaliers team is playing? All right, so I've got all of that and a whole lot more coming up on today's NBA Rundown. Hey, new to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe and, of course, like this video. Also, check us out on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, or wherever the hell you happen to get your podcasts from. All right, so before we get into the top 10, just a couple quick honorable mentions. Now, a lot of the other lists out there have the Milwaukee Bucks have suddenly reappeared and are in everybody's top 10. The Bucks are 10-9, and it's an absolute travesty to actually have them in the top 10 of anybody's list at this point. Maybe next week, but it's still a little too early to tell. Also not in the top 10 this week is the Los Angeles Lakers. More on that in a second, as well as the Denver Nuggets. Now, the Lakers lost last night to the Minnesota Timberwolves by 29, which spurred a whole cottage industry around LeBron James is too old to play basketball. I quickly want to point out that while LeBron James scored 10 points last night, Anthony Edwards, who's some 16 and a half years younger than LeBron, only scored 8 points. Also, LeBron and the Lakers were on a back-to-back. All right, into the top 10 we go. Who will be atop of the NBA mountain this week? That is the big question. In at number 10 is the Golden State Warriors. Now, the Warriors have lost 4 in a row. And while I sang their praises earlier in the season with that 12-player rotation, it doesn't work if everybody struggles shooting from the field, and that's exactly where the Golden State Warriors are at this point. In at number 9 is the Intuit Dome. Look, when you spend $2 billion on a dome and James Harden is actually playing pretty good and you've got a pretty decent team. You know, every once in a while, you're going to beat some good basketball teams as well as some bad basketball teams. During this past week, they lost by 1 to the Timberwolves. They beat the Nuggets and also ended up beating the Wizards and then just got flat out destroyed by the Boston Celtics. That is who this Clippers team is. They are currently in 6th in the Western Conference. A very good team, and I love the addition of Jeff Van Gundy as an assistant coach on this team. The Clippers are actually playing defense right now. In at number 8 is the New York Knicks. I think clearly Karl Anthony Towns is going to work out with this New York Knicks team. I am just telling you all that at some point you're going to look and you're going to see the Knicks in the top 3 teams in the Eastern Conference. And I'm not just talking about early in the season, a little later in the season as well. Love what they're doing with Cat at this point. And in Minnesota, they are absolutely miserable. They believe that they have probably made a mistake trading for Julius Randle and letting the Cat walk out the door. In at number 7 is Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks. The Mavericks have actually won 8 out of 9 games. They've won 4 games in a row. Quentin Grimes, I think, is the big addition to this Dallas Mavericks team that is actually making a huge difference. Now, for those Klay Thompson people out there, you've got to remember Klay Thompson is not on some huge contract. I think he's making like $52 million over 3 years. So you're sort of getting what you're paying for with a declining basketball player. And that's where they're at with him. Luka's not quite putting up the numbers he put up last year, but that's okay. There are so many other players. I love this Dallas Mavericks roster, and it's good to see them actually playing well at this stage of the season. In at number 6, the Orlando Magic, doing a lot of this without Paulo. They've actually won 6 games in a row. The Magic, as you know, have Franz Wagner, who's playing fantastic. We saw what Franz Wagner did to the Lakers on a last-second shot last week. KCP has reemerged from the injury list. And I love Jalen Suggs' game at this point. I really like this Orlando Magic roster, and I think they're going to continue to play well throughout the year and wait till they get Paulo back. This is a very good team. A lot of prognosticators were absolutely right about the Magic coming into this season. In at number 5. Now, I'm going to give you my top 5 list. I'm going to tell you everybody that's in the top 5, and then I'm going to come back and talk about the specific team. So in at number 5 is the Memphis Grizzlies. Those dangerous Grizzly Bears. In at number 4 is the Oklahoma City Thunder. Number 3 is the Rising Rockets. Number 2 is the Celtics. And atop of the mountain is Kenny Atkinson, who, if we were giving out the Coach of the Year award right now, should win it. Because when you look at this Cleveland Cavaliers team and you compare this roster to last year's roster, this Cavs team is playing significantly better with Kenny Atkinson at the helm. Love the Cleveland Cavaliers. They are atop of the NBA mountain this week on the NBA Rundown. So as I mentioned, the Celtics are in at number 2. I think the 6th Man of the Year award, if it was given out this week, would go to Peyton Pritchard. Peyton Pritchard has been nothing short of spectacular coming off of the bench. Just imagine how loaded this Boston Celtics team is. And then they have Peyton Pritchard, who can come in and score 20 to 30 points in any given night and can just be a lights out 3-point shooter. Love the Celtics as a whole. If the Celtics played the Cavs in a 7-game series, my guess is, with the rosters as they stand today, everybody being healthy, that the Celtics would probably win that. But this week, I do have the Cavs listed at number 1. In at number 3 is the Rising Rockets of Houston. The Houston Rockets are absolutely playing inspired basketball. This team is just, I don't even know where to begin when I talk about this Houston Rockets team. So I'm going to start with the defense. This team is playing significantly better defense this year than they did last year. It's one of the reasons they're currently 15-6 and have won 8 out of their last 10 games. In addition to all of that, we know that Jabari Smith Jr. is on and off, but if he's on, he'll probably score 15 and get 14 boards in a game. I think one of the most underrated players in the NBA is somebody you all love to hate, and that is Dylan Brooks. I just don't think people understand just how good of a player Dylan Brooks really is, especially from a mid-range perspective. When you watch these Houston Rockets games and you watch Dylan Brooks play, you understand that he's not just an enforcer. I mean, yes, he is an enforcer, and yes, Dylan Brooks could probably play hockey back in the 80s, but at the end of the day, he is more than just an enforcer. Now, I absolutely love Jalen Green's game, love Şengün. We know he is the baby Jokic at this point, and when Fred VanVleet the other night scores 38 points in a game, you know that this is one of the most feisty basketball teams in the association. And of course, he did that against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Love the Rockets. Young team. Hope they don't blow it up by bringing in some big name player and trading away some of the youth they have on their team. And then finally, I'd say play Reed Shepherd a little bit more if you can. In at number 4 is the Oklahoma City Thunder. Love SGA. Hartenstein's absolutely working out for this team. It will be fun to watch when they get Chet back. Jalen Williams has absolutely turned into an absolute almost all-star at this point. Carson Wallace continues to surprise me, and I think Aaron Wiggins is getting better every year I watch him play. This is a very deep basketball team as well, currently in first in the Western Conference. They're a half game ahead of the Rising Rockets at this point. And then finally, in at number 5 on our list is those dangerous Grizzlies. Now, we talk a lot about the Memphis Grizzlies last year, and we talked a lot about the Memphis Grizzlies during the offseason. And as well as the Houston Rockets are playing, and as well as OKC is playing, what's really fun about the NBA this year is the youth and how some of these younger teams are actually just simply taking over at top of the Western Conference. And this Grizzlies team, which, by the way, has not been 100% healthy, is 100 or nearly 100% healthy minus Zach Edey right now, and is playing fantastic basketball. Now, they don't play the kind of defense, the kind of lockdown defense that the Houston Rockets play, and the kind of defense that the OKC Thunder can play. But they can score with anybody in the NBA. They scored 136 points against the Indiana Pacers the other night. Now, we know that the Pacers believe in defense as an optional option, and so they certainly didn't play any of it. But love Jaren Jackson. Jalen Wells, the other rookie on this team, has been fantastic to this point in the stretches and in the minutes he's actually getting. Desmond Bane, Ja Morant is back right now from his injury. Santi continues to play well. If Marcus Smart can be healthy for most of the season, that's a huge difference maker and veteran leadership on this team. Look, the other night against the Indiana Pacers, they didn't even play Scottie Pippen Jr. More than 12 minutes in that game. And you know how I feel about Scottie Pippen Jr. I believe Scottie Pippen Jr. could absolutely be a 15 to 20 point player a night if he gets enough minutes. It is a team that is fully loaded, has a lot of talent, and is actually coached extremely well. You know, same thing I can say about the OKC Thunder and the Houston Rockets, and that's why I think those three teams are going to live atop of the Western Conference this particular year. All right, there it is, our NBA rundown. It is our big NBA power rankings, who's atop of the mountain this week. To recap, it's Cavs, Celtics, Rockets, Thunder, Grizzlies, Magic, Mavericks, Knicks, Clippers, and Warriors. All right, that's it for today's NBA rundown. Love to know what your thoughts are. Please go ahead and drop your comments in. For the NBA rundown, I'm Dave DeBaugh, wishing you all a tremendous rest of your sports viewing day.
This is Phoenix.